I'm a retired art teacher, so I love the art that's behind you.
Thank you.
And I'm originally from Ohio, and about 3.5, 4 years ago, I made the permanent move out here to California. I have one child and 3 grandchildren that live out here. And when I retired, my goal was not to shovel snow. So I was going back and forth for several years. And then 4 years ago, made the transition to full time. And the move was it's just real hard on me, to close up shop after living in a place for 30 some years. But it was what I wanted to do. And during that time, I just gained a tremendous amount of weight. I didn't know how much, I just knew it was a lot. And so when I got out here, one of the things was trying to find a primary care physician that I could work with. And when I did, my first meeting with her, I told her we needed to deal with the elephant in the room, and that would be me. I wanted a weight loss program that was medically monitored, thinking that she would be the one that would do that. She immediately handed me a Hearn Reed brochure, and she said, I want you to go and find out if this is something that will work for you and report back to me. So I did. I went and when I talked to the doctors, they would ask me, what's your goal? And I said, I don't even know how much I should weigh at my age, because I think the last time I got on a scale, I was still working. And at that point, I was in my 70s, and I just, I wasn't sure. So they suggested 80 pounds, lose 80 pounds. I said, okay. I was on option 1, which I really liked because it took, there was no guesswork. This is what you do. You don't do anything else. And I really liked that. And the weight came off very rapidly. And, everybody was cautioning me. They said, oh, if you lose weight too quickly, you gain it back. And I was like, I don't know. But I like that. And it was very motivating for me to continue on. The only problem was that I never got to see my grandkid, my family, because we couldn't go out to dinner. We couldn't do the things that we used to do as a family. So once I'd lost the majority of the weight towards my goal, I switched to option, I want to call it 1.5. It wasn't even all the way to 0.2 because I was still doing option 1, but on the days that we would go out to, out to eat or do things, I switched to option 2, and I would have the prescribed food when we would go to a restaurant. I got real good at that. I got close when I got close to my goal weight of 80 pounds, they wanted me to take, is it called a BMI test?
Just to make sure that you weren't losing. And
And
that's one of the part of medically monitored versus, doing it yourself is, hey, we have someone that, yes, your goal may be to lose 80 pounds, but we need to make sure that you do it safely. So that's why they do those tests. Yeah.
Well, I'd say that I failed that test miserably. I was 1 point below very poor, and I was just horrified. And I said, well, what do I have to do? And they said, well, you're going to have to lose about 30 more pounds and do more exercise. I was like, okay. Yeah, I was a little whiny about it, but I said, oh, okay. And, I said, I think I look pretty good right now. I don't know if I have to lose this weight. My son was, brings you back to reality. He says, no, Mom, you can stand to lose a little bit more. I was feeling real good about it because my granddaughter came in. She gave me a big hug, and she said, oh, Grandma, I can put my arms all the way around you.
Grandkids have a way of doing that. Yeah.
That was very sweet. So I was thinking that I was just where I needed to be, but my son said no. And he took me I went with him to a hardware store, and he was buying salt for his water softener, and he said, "Here, hold this. You've lost 2 of these and you need to lose 1 more, you know." And I was like, okay. It kind of set me up for the next phase. So my weight loss was slower, and it slowed down to the point where I think Louise just said, "You're done. You haven't reached your goal weight, but you need to go." And I kept telling her, "Not done yet." Because when I switched from the weight loss into Compass during that transition period, it was not a good time for me to do that. If I had to do it over again, I would have insisted that I not do it at that time, because for the first time since I moved out here, I was having guests from back home coming to stay with me for 2 weeks, right when I was starting that transition period. And during the whole time that I was in weight loss, I had not kept records, and I was really committed to, during that transition time, to learn to weigh everything and keep records and do the shopping and do the preparation the way I should. And with the company there, I couldn't do it. It was just a bad time. And so I went back to Louise. I kind of flunked out of transition. I went back to Louise and just into maintenance. And I feel like I want to be in that for the rest of my life, because every time I go, I learn something new from her or something new from the people in the class. It's not as good with the Zoom. I liked it much. People are I think they're a little afraid to talk. You turn it on, turn it off. It's just a little. When we all met together, there was just a lot of interaction as a group, and I learned a lot that way, and it was motivating to me to come to class. But I will continue with a Zoom, even though it's. I did have the DNA test, and that was a real shock to me too, because I thought that I would be, low carb, low fat, high protein, but it was exactly the opposite. And which kind of shocked me, but I guess I'm the only one in my family that had the weight problem. Everybody else was tall, thin, slender. Anyway, I don't know what DNA I got, but I didn't get theirs, I guess. So that was interesting. And I've been in maintenance now for about a year, and it was real scary to me, because I didn't want to go back to a store and just I'd make a list, and you go in the store and you see stuff that I was scared of. That I was scared of making food. I liked my meal packets. So I do a combination. I do a little bit of meal packets, and then when COVID happened, it was bad for everybody, but for me, it was bad because my gym closed, and I don't do well at exercising by myself in my home. And but it was good in that I didn't have to go to the store anymore. I just learned how to order everything online. I just go, they put it in my car, they sign for me, and I take off. So, I was only bringing I only have in my house what I can eat. There's none of this other stuff that, creeps into your house. So that's the way I've maintained. And I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way, but it's the way I'm learning. And what else do you want to know?
Yeah. The right way is the way that works for you, right? And I feel like Louise especially does a good job of, would you, well, I'll pose it as a question. As you're learning, and you had to modify things for your own personal experience. Do you feel like Louise and your provider were supportive of that and helped you guide through that? Or was it very much, no, you have to do it the way that we told you to do it, or maybe a combination of both?
The only thing that I felt was unsuccessful, and it probably was a perfectly good thing, was that transition between the weight loss and the maintenance. That was just, it was like lost for me. It wasn't where I was really expecting to set up habits that would last me through maintenance. So I did just kind of have to go along but I learned a lot of things. Like one time Louise just said, this week your homework is to just keep track of when you're hungry. And what I learned is that I'm rarely hungry. I have a big appetite. You put food in front of me, I will eat it, but I'm not hungry. And that was kind of a revelation to me, because I just thought, oh, and then the other thing that was a real revelation to me is I've always heard about intermittent fasting. But I thought that was something that I could try since I'm in my house and no outside. And so I started that. About 4:30, my mail comes. And before I go out and get my mail, I always think, am I hungry? No. Okay, do I think I'm going to be hungry, before I go to sleep? No, I think I'm okay. So that is, and I just don't eat. I get my mail, I read my mail, I do bills or whatever I need to do, and that's it. I don't, I do, usually do, I go to the sleeping wing of my house and I don't leave to go in, so I'm not even tempted. And
bills ruin my appetite as well. So
yeah.
you get them and open them up, and it's like, well,
yeah.
I was hungry.
Well, I don't have as many bills now with COVID because I'm not out spending money. I don't know. I have anyway.
How are the meal packets? So when if you before you started the intermittent fasting, before you were, you said you would.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna eat. Even though your appetite maybe was a little low, like now I'm gonna eat. I mean, do you feel like I had a meal packet and now I feel satisfied? Or, tell me a little bit about, please, about the meal packets.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever felt satisfied. Satisfaction to me would be, a big slice of German chocolate cake or some, French fries or something like that. No. But I was never, that how you get when your stomach growls. I was never like that, and I ate 3 times, and had those bars if I needed it. And, if I was, I felt that they were good. I liked it because there was sweetness, there was savory things. I even started to do, well, they called them muffins. I call them brownies because I use the chocolate, the packet, and I put them in a silicone ice cube tray, so they came out square, and I kind of lived on those too. I just would make a pat, that every day, and that was just kind of a munchy thing. I like those. No, I was real happy with the food. I was not, there wasn't anything. Sometimes I crave something crunchy, like celery or crackers or something, but that was the only thing. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not hearing you. What happened?
Oh, sorry. I'm working from home, and we have the dog, and my wife also works from home.
Oh.
So if I'm not actually talking, I put the,
Okay.
I put the mic on mute. So the meal packets, you don't have to just put one in water and shake it up. There's other things you can do with it. So you have a snack, or,
exactly.
So you're still getting that nutrition every day that is recommended, but there's different ways to do that. So it sounds like, that was helpful for you.
I didn't do a whole lot of modification of the packets just because I'm not a cook. I don't like to cook. When I start to fiddle around in the kitchen, then I start to say, well, how can I just go with what works for me. And that did. Yeah, they're good. And I still use them, every now and then just to,
Sorry, someone was
Do you
in.
need to?
Nope, somebody
No,
was
you're
in
okay.
messing around in the kitchen, and it's like, hey, I'm.
Do you want to know about my exercise journey?
Yeah. I mean, if you is that something that Louis, did
Okay.
Louise, kind of help you integrate the
From the
program?
doctors, and yeah. Well, my whole life growing, when I started to have to do, I have this love-hate relationship with exercises. I'm sure most people do, but I was thinking, how did I grow up with it not exercising? We didn't, okay, family, get together, we're going to do our jumping jacks, and no, but we hiked and we rode bikes, and I used to roller skate. I always had scabby knees from roller skating as a kid. My mother said, we all had to do something active, and maybe it was dance lessons, maybe it was whatever, but we were real active as kids. It was, going into college, and I was active there because I was walking every place on campus. And then, you know, um, maybe when I got married, because I was starting to cook, and you join gourmet clubs. And maybe that's when the exercise kind of took a back seat to food. And I just knew that when I retired, I just had to do something because I was gaining too much weight. And I went to the nearest gym and joined Silver Sneakers and did that 5 days a week. And that I like that because it was with people. I think that's my whole thing with exercise, is that I always did it with my family or with other people. It wasn't, going to a gym and lifting weights all by yourself. And, when someone says, oh, well, just take a walk, I go, oh my God, I can't. Back in the day when Jane Fonda had her tapes, you're probably too young for this, but she had her tapes. And, I bought her outfit, her headband, I bought the tapes, I put them into I don't know what it was back then, but they were tapes. And I would sit on the couch and I would watch her exercise. I didn't do it because I was by myself. I bought machines and, okay, I'm going to do this recumbent bike or treadmill. And I just didn't. I turned the TV on and watched TV while I did. I just didn't, because I was by myself. So the gym was my answer to that. And, if they said I needed to exercise more after I took that BMI test, and they said I just picked up more classes, and I did, line dancing and anything that they offered at the gym. I was there doing that, and I really liked it. But COVID kind of shut that down. So what I've been doing since then is I've been walking, because it gets me out of the house. And I just use that time to kind of, think about my day, what I'm going to eat, and it's kind of a meditation walk that I do. And I'm up to between 4.5 and 5 miles a day, except for when the air quality is so bad. So that's been a thing. I have a yoga practice that I do, after I've shut down no more food for intermittent fasting. I take a meditative soak in my soaker tub, and I do my yoga practice. And that's it for me in exercise.
And how much, I don't want to go too much over your 15 minutes.
Okay.
So
I hope
did
I
you
didn't
end
talk
up
over.
losing the 80 pounds?
Oh yeah, I lost the 80 pounds. I lost close to 100. I lost right around 100 pounds, but I didn't lose that last, I don't know, it was like 7 or 8 pounds that they said, when they said you have to lose 30 more. Um, and so I never lost that. And that was another reason why I didn't want to go into that transition, because I hadn't lost that last little bit. I think if I'd stayed and lost it, my company would have been gone, and I could have done that transition much easier. But thank goodness there are these maintenance classes, because like I said, I really like them. I learned something that I can do that will really help maintain this.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Also, it's been my lifeline since this COVID, because I'm truly sheltered, have been since last April.